Hello people of YouTube and welcome back. So we're going to be doing a 52 game challenge update. So yes, originally this was I think it pretty much started on the Retro Collect forums, or at least that's where it first came to my attention. And unfortunately, obviously the Retro Collect forums went down, and because of that I had nowhere else to tell my stories of games completed. So that's where YouTube came in handy. And yeah, I started doing it, but unfortunately, I just was a bit, I don't know, a bit rubbish at doing videos. So I would kind of like miss sort of a deadline and then have too many games to talk about. So realistically, going forward, I would like to do it every 3 months. So I've got enough games to talk about, and yeah, I've got quite a few. First quarter of 2022, I've played a lot of games. Yeah, I think I'm definitely ahead of where I was last year. Last year I did just over 52 games. I think it was like 53, and it was like only just on the last day that I kind of went over it. But yeah, no, I think the challenge is in the air. Like there's a lot of people participating this year, and I think it's got everyone sort of like wanting to beat everyone in a good way. So it's all like harmless fun. In fact, it's better than harmless because we've all got something to talk about. And in fact, a lot of the times when we're beating a game, it's influenced another person to play a game. So that's where hopefully maybe this will come in handy for some of you guys. Are you looking for something to play or maybe something to avoid? Who knows? But yes, right. Anyway, hopefully that's not too loud. It is quite loud in my ear. I've not got long to do this. So first up, we did first month of the year, January. We did Xbox month. So in Xbox month, I tried sticking to Xbox 360 as best as possible. Like I say, with these months, for me personally, I'm trying to get my backlogs out of the way. The games that I've wanted to play for a long time, that I've owned, out of the way. But it's great seeing how other people take the challenges on, to be fair. But yeah, first up, I attempted 3 RPGs. That's what I wanted to do. Beat 3 RPGs. Unfortunately, I only beat one. So the one that I beat was Eternal Sonata, and again, because I got so far in it, I kind of got a bit stuck in it, and it was the fact that I was doing Xbox months that pushed me over. Unfortunately, I wanted to stick to like games that was only on Xbox, and this is on PlayStation as well, so I kind of failed on that. But yeah, this was a very beautiful looking RPG. Although, to be honest, like it just kind of got a bit boring after a little bit because the fights all seemed very similar, because you'd always go up against 3 enemies either on the left of you or the right of you. It's sort of like an action RPG where when you get into the fights, you're actually like sort of like hitting people sort of like in real time, although you've kind of got like a counter to build up. And to be honest, it had like a mechanic that was quite interesting, but probably underused a little bit, where the fact that you actually have like a light and a dark attack that you can use. So if you're in shadow, your attacks would affect the characters, well, the enemies differently. But I just don't feel like it was used quite enough, really. But yeah, it was a good game. It was, I say it's a good game. It was a beautiful game. The storyline was a bit too out there, and I couldn't follow it because basically you kind of like in a dream, or are you in a dream, or are you dead, or whatever, because you're taking on, there's a lot of like old composers that you sort of like hearing the stories of, and it just was really bizarre. Very bizarre game. Probably definitely worth playing if you like your RPGs, but it might be a bit too out there. First off, I thought it'd be a great starter RPG, but I don't know, it was a bit weird, I've got to say. And then what was the other one? I played another one. It was I can't remember. It was a Square Enix one that everyone says is like a lost Final Fantasy game. I've forgotten what it's called now. Jesus Christ. But yeah, I got to the last bit and like it just, I don't know. I kind of kept getting lost, and it frustrated me. So I think I'm going to go back later in the year and complete that game, because I don't want to get that far and like it beat me. So next up, finally remembered me. So I did actually start this last year, but for whatever reason I stopped playing it. and I got back onto it this year for Xbox months and beat this game. Is that cheating because I started it last year? I don't know. There's a lot of games I've started and not finished, so I feel like sometimes if you're doing like in year sequential, it's not so bad, is it really? But yeah, I went back and beat this. This is a fantastic game, really is. It's sort of like Cyberpunk crossed with Tomb Raider. Probably the best way to describe it. There's like climbing bits, and then there's like these really crazy action bits where you fight, and yeah, it's really good. I really liked it, and just the graphical style is just really cool. Made by Capcom, if you didn't realise. It's very not a Capcom style game. It really isn't. I mean, it is of its time. This would be a great game to be remastered because the graphics just needed that little bit extra punch and better frame rate, and this would be a flipping amazing game. Definitely recommend playing that one. Next up, one that wasn't a great game. In fact, it was a little bit disappointing. I heard it wasn't great, but I kind of wanted to play it anyway. It's Pac-Man and the Ghostly Adventures 2. I mean, when you look at the graphics and everything like that, it doesn't look too bad, but it just plays a little bit too rigid, probably is the best way to describe it. And it kind of takes the fun out of it a little bit. And then it just gets very samey. It just like, yeah, just rinse and repeat the same sort of actions to beat the levels. And yeah, I've heard the first one is better. I think Ross Bwahaha said the first one is better. So now I'm gonna have to look out for that one because I still don't own that one. In fact, I think I've just got this on PlayStation 3 now. So this is actually up for the chop. Next up, we have got Perky Little Things. Now, I know it's sealed, but I actually got sent 2 copies of this, so I chopped one in to CX and played that one and kept this one in its nice seal. So, Perky Little Things, yeah. I was kind of I got like COVID and I just couldn't, this was in the first month in January, and I just couldn't play anything too intense. It's sort of like, it was just, my head wasn't there. So I put this on and this was the perfect game to play. Just used the touchscreen, didn't even have the Joy-Cons on the Switch. It was like I was playing a tablet game, and I think that's probably the best way to play it. It's basically like a Where's Wally sort of game, where you have like icons and you've got to kind of like match them up with something on the stage to get them to interact. First up, I think you have to take them away and then you have to put them back in to interact with them. And yeah, it's a very perverted game. Lots of lots of how's your father happening right in front of your eyes, and you're making that happen. There's a lot of sort of cultural references into it. There's like sort of like a Star Wars crossed with Star Trek stage near the end, and yeah, because of that, like it was just like interesting to see what the next stage, what they'd imitate. There was like an Indiana Jones stage and stuff like that. It was just like I say, lots of movie and cultural references, but overly sexualized. And yeah, it's a fun game if you don't pay too much for it. It really isn't that much. I mean, realistically, if it wasn't for the book that you get, it's probably worth just getting the download. Because I'm sure that would be quite cheap. And if it is funny. It's worth it just to say that you played it. Next up, Condemned. Oh my goodness, this was fantastic. I really enjoyed this. This I put it on and I played it and completed it in one session, and oh man, it really killed me to do that. It really hurt. I think I had a week off and I played it like I just put it on. I just put it on for a couple of hours and I just got hooked. It just hooked me. Really, I mean, the engine of it isn't the best. It's very, again, rigid and like stuff like that. But there's something about this. It was just, there was a couple of jump scares in it, but it's more of an action game, sort of like a first-person game. But I just loved, like, you could like go along and then just like get a sort of a drain pipe off the wall and smash like the enemies in the head, and like you just took things off the wall, and like I don't think you don't really see that in many other games. I mean, obviously it's very dated, so it wasn't as like, oh, you could take any bit of furniture, walls or whatever and smash it. It was like specific objects, but I don't know, there was something very cool about this game. I really like this. It's by Sega. This one isn't on the PlayStation 3. The second one is. I am looking forward to playing the second one, although I believe like what made this special is kind of like taken out of the second one, and it's being sort of made, obviously a bigger team, bigger this, bigger budget. They make it a bit safer, and because it's safe, it just loses that character that some of these early sort of like 360 and PlayStation 3 games had. Like there was a lot of risk taking in it, and it worked with it. Like I say, it's not the best of, it doesn't play the best, but it just, I don't know, there was something really good about it. Really enjoyed that game. Next up, we've got Persona Arena. A fighter. So how did I complete a fighter? So basically there is a what's it say there? Massive story mode. So yeah, I did the story mode, which basically is a visual novel with fights in between it. Jesus Christ, that was huge. Like honestly, it was about 3 or 4 hours to do the story modes, because there was 2 story modes. You had multiple paths to go down, and I wanted to make sure that I got through it all. You could there was a function to actually just let it play itself. So when you're doing the story mode, so if you just wanted to have the story, you could, and then you could let the characters fight themselves. But like it's funny because you wouldn't necessarily win with that. It's not like do like auto fights to just progress. No, it's sometimes lost. So sometimes I would just lose. I actually did it a couple of times, lost, and I was like, fuck it, I'm just playing it and beat it. Then I did the arcade mode, and then I did all the training mode. In fact, I got a little bit addicted to playing all the different modes that are on here. The only downfall is I had to use a friggin' Xbox 360 controller to play it. So, because of that, I don't know. I've got the PlayStation 3 version. It is over there somewhere. I got the PlayStation. Oh, I can see it's over there. I'm not getting it. Got the PlayStation 3 version. So finally upgrading this. So this is going to be going eventually, and then I can play it on the best way with a proper pad. Next up, Halo Wars. I think I played Halo. When did I play Halo? No, I think this was the first one. Yeah, I was kind of I was feeling a bit of a Command and Conquer kick. But then I thought, do you know what? Let's not try the Halo Wars, which is basically Command and Conquer in the Halo universe. And yeah, it's not too bad. It was a bit over before it began. Really, there's like 20 stages or something. It was quite fun, but there was one stage that absolutely just obliterated me every time. It was really easy until that stage, and then basically it was like this cannon that was just constantly firing, and it was like going backwards and forwards, and it would always beat my base before I could beat it. But somehow, after a bit of determination, probably about 10 tries later, I beat it and then got through the rest of the game quite okay. Few restarts, but yeah, no, it was a good game. I am actually looking forward to playing. I think there's the Halo Wars 2. I can't remember if it was on this one, and I don't know if it's any better or any worse. But yeah, I probably will go and play Command and Conquer again some point this year, hopefully. Next up, indie darling, such an indie darling. Not many games that I buy and play straight after I bought them, but Hunt Down, this had to be played. I was hyped up anyway for it. I really wanted it, but then Addy Sneaker Freak, he sent me a picture of him receiving this, and I didn't realise it came in this funky box, because I saw a lot of people picking it up on the Switch, and that just came in a standard case, but this comes in a funky box, and I thought, do you know what, sometimes what happens with these, they get reprinted, and they reprint it without the box. So I thought, right, that's it, I'm just gonna have to buy it. It was like 20 quid, it wasn't expensive really. I think it was like 22 quid or something. I'm talking pickups now, but anyway, this is a beautiful side-scrolling run and gun cyberpunk, 16/32-bit pixel art graphics. This is just a flipping dream to play. It's not like a Contra run and gun where it's like completely like fast paced firing. It's just like an action platformer, little run and gun, but like so many references again to like 80s and 90s movie culture. Really fantastic. Really, I mean, I wish I could remember the quotes. I'm rubbish at quotes. My brain is adult as it is, so I can't remember anything. But I do know I recommend everyone at least playing this. I mean, yeah, grab it while you can. If you, I mean, if you're interested in the stuff that I like, you will love this because it is just, yeah, it's retro goodness at its best. Talking retro, this game, this was made like 20, 30 years ago, and then they didn't finish it. So they finally finished it and released it. Unfortunately, through Strictly Limited, you can get the Japanese version of this as a standard release, and it plays in English. But yeah, this is by the Wonder Boy people, Weststone. It doesn't play anything like a Wonder Boy game. It's a really short arcade platformer where you what was the gimmick? You got something with balloons, and I can't remember what it was now. But yeah, like first time I played it, I died near the end because I think I just didn't understand the mechanic properly. And then I realised, went through it and just beat it like in 20 minutes, if that. Honestly, this game is a very short game. And when I beat it, I didn't get I didn't get the trophy for beating it. But I spoke to Ross Wahaha, and what you have to do is you have to play it in arcade mode. I don't know what the difference is really, but yeah. So I will get the platinum on this just to make it sort of like worthwhile. Because it was a great game. It would have been a great game if it was a little bit longer. I mean, the thing is, the graphics on this are just stunning. They are great looking graphics, and it just missing that one little ingredient that would have made it a fantastic game. And I guess that's why it was sort of like shelved for so long. But yeah, good game. Good game, let's say. That's it. Good game. Not a great game, just a good game. Next up, we have got Handwritten Note. So that means only one thing. It was a digital game. So it's Rygar. So I got the Nintendo Switch Online, and on the online package you get to play NES games and Super Nintendo games. And I played Rygar on the NES. Now I thought I actually owned it. I think I've got confused with Trojan, even though I don't know why. They're totally different games, but I remember playing Rygar quite a lot. Like when I first started collecting again, it was one of the games that a lot of Americans used to talk about quite a lot, because I never really heard many people talk about it over here really back in the day. I believe a lot of people who like the 8-bit micros like Rygar as well. But yeah, when I played it, I loved it. I really enjoyed the mechanic of it. You went on to like this big adventure. It's like an adventure platformer, almost a Metroidvania. But yeah, you're going in and out of places, trying to unlock new abilities to get to the next. And I can remember always getting to a certain point and like not having the will to carry on and playing it. But unfortunately, it would not have a save file. So every time we'd play it, you'd have to go back, and I'd always play it and then play it again like 6 months time. So I'd always forget where I was and stuff. So I never managed to beat it. So since I got Switch Online, I was like, yes, I can use save states. So over a couple of days, I beat out Rygar. It took me couple of hours, 2 or 3 hours. And then I went on a gameplay, and someone did it in about 30 minutes. You can, if you know what you're doing, you can do this in 30 minutes. But like obviously, it's an adventure. You want to go and find things. That's the bits where it makes the game fun. I mean, it would be still fun, knowing where everything is if you use a walkthrough and stuff. But it would be it would make the adventure different, I suppose. But yeah, it's a great little action platformer where you got your shield. It's a whip and a shield in one. Crazy idea, but yeah, really good fun game. Really fun game. Next up, we have got Devil May Cry 5. Now, this breaks my heart a little bit. I really wanted to like this, but it wasn't as fun as I remember. It really was. Well, not remember. Yeah, I just felt like there's so many again. I think they just tried to play it a little bit safe after DMC, which is the sort of reboot. I loved DMC, absolutely loved it. It was just like you came in and it was like this big set piece. I just loved the graphical styling of it. It was just so perfect. And then everyone likes it was just like sort of ousted as like a really crap game. But I really liked it. So going on to this, I think they tried to play it safe. If you can see on the front cover, you've got multiple characters on there, and you play 3 different characters, and I think that's where the downfall comes, because they've all got different ways of playing. There was one where you control different creatures, and that really took the fun out of it for me. It really did. And the graphics were really nice. I really like the gothic, like set piece, not set pieces, like sort of like character design and stuff like that. But the levels themselves just seemed really boring. Like there was a lot of like when you're inside intestines and stuff like that, where it's sort of like a biomass of wall. There was, and it just everything just repeated, and like I always remember running through really cool gothic style buildings in the original games and thinking this is really cool, and I never felt that with this game. It just, I don't know, it just, even though it was a good looking game, it was still bland at the same time. Yeah, not great. It's not terrible. It's not. It was a good game. It was a good game, but it's just not as great as its predecessors. I really don't think. I think what I need to do is I need to play DMC, the PlayStation 4 one where they made it a little bit fancier. I need to play that again because I originally played it on a 360. Maybe play that and see if maybe my memory of the DMCs are not quite as good as what I remember. Yeah. Anyway, next. Sorry about that. Next up, we'll go back onto good games. Singularity. Now, this game, hidden gem really is. So I remember this. I've been talking about playing this for about a year or two. I think Ross played it originally, and he said it was really good. And then I was going to go play it, and then Gordon played it, and he really raved about it. So I was like, yep, gonna have to play it. Fantastic game. Sort of like you have like time mechanics, and you're going in between like the future and the past, and yeah, really cool. Sort of like there was like puzzle mechanics where like you would see like this box that's been crushed or something, and you could like turn it back in time and make it bigger so you can like use it to like either pry doors open or like get to higher places. Yeah, it's really cool. Like I really enjoyed this game. Again, cool looking graphics. This would be, again, I would like a remake, a remaster of it. It would be cool to get a sequel of this. This would be a great sequel. I'd love to see this sort of game as a modern game. That would be awesome. Again, it seems that there's too many games at the moment that are playing it safe. They just make it in an incredible way, but they just don't put the same sort of like risk as these kind of games did, and that's what makes them kind of games. You're not going to agree with every mechanic that's on that game, but you know, as an overall feel, it's fantastic. And then again, let's talk about risk again. Modern games, we've got Horizon. So Horizon Forbidden West Special Edition. So yeah, I'm not going to talk about how I've got this and stuff like this, why I've got this one. But yeah, like basically, I got a bit out of hype and had to get this day one. Well, not day one, it was about a week later. And yeah, just put all my time into it. Loved it. However, very disappointed with it at equal measures. And I think it's just because I loved the first one so much. The first one just blew me away. It just was like, the gameplay was just like that breath of fresh air. It was like Tomb Raider ramped up to an open world with sci-fi, and it was just, everything was cool about it. This is just more of the same. It really is. And again, talking about that playing it safe, that's what it's doing. And because of this, it didn't feel like maybe I put too much hype into it, but it just was, yeah, it's just more of the same. It just didn't didn't wow me enough to go, this is the best game on the system. Wasn't like that. I prefer the first one, and I think that's more like a sort of like a nostalgia thing. I think if I played this one first, I probably would have loved this a lot more. Maybe, I don't know. There is bits of this that were really outstanding over the first one, but just I think that wow factor of playing the first one was more than enough. And yeah, it's a shame they didn't do a little bit more to this to make it that real special game. Again, not a bad game. It really isn't. It's just my probably disappointing thoughts is just because I hold the original in such a high regard that this just couldn't quite surpass it for my own personal level. Like I say, fantastic game, really is. But I just wanted more. And I'm assuming they're going to do some DLC, and I'm assuming it'll probably be a standalone DLC. That Sony like doing that at the moment. So next up, I've dropped my pieces of paper. I can remember what they are, just I think. So Halo Infinite, I played that. So I knew PlayStation month was coming up, so I wanted to go and stop playing PlayStation games, because that's what I do most of the time anyway. So went on Game Pass, because I've kind of abused that a little bit recently, not used it enough. So I thought, let's go play the latest and greatest of the Xbox games, Halo Infinite. I wish I didn't now. I really didn't. It was so boring. Again, all the levels just seemed like I was playing the same. There was like 3 different stages. There was inside sort of a futuristic building, and it was just like copy and pasted all the way through that level, all the way through the next one like that, and all the way through the next one like that. And then it had like about 10 enemy types that you'd see all the time, and it was like playing, they just made these like little childish noises, and it was like, what? And the graphics, oh man, it was just so clean. There was good looking graphics, but there was just no character to them. Like I say, for me, I like character. This, lots of character. I mean, oh my god, enemy design in this is fantastic. Graphics are fantastic. This was like, it was like playing a remastered PlayStation 3 game. It's probably the best way to say about it. Well, Xbox 360, but it was the flagship game for the system. Because of that, you're expecting a bit more, and it had this like open world side to it, which it didn't give me enough to go and explore it. Like again, Horizon, I explored the hell out of that. I got a platinum with it, but the Halo game, I was just like, oh man, it was just like rinse and repeat, fire, shoot at enemies, do it again, you've won the level. Oh man, it was so boring. I had to get rid of that. Well, I beat it, and yeah, I really don't recommend that game unless you're a big Halo fan. And there was storyline there, but again, it was just so cut and paste storyline. It was just so boring. Anyway, sorry about that. I think, to be honest, I think Halo, it's probably more about the online. To be honest, I don't think the story mode. It also had a few like issues getting onto the story modes that he was saying that I wasn't able to for some reason, and I had to wait like a few minutes, restart my computer, start it up again just so I could play it again. But yeah, next up we played Ori and the Will of the Wisps, which is the second Ori and the second one I played. Now that is a sort of a whimsical Metroidvania style game. Yeah, it was a good looking game. It's again more of the same with the first one. However, for me personally, I just feel like they tightened up the attack. I didn't, for some reason, I didn't feel like I was fully connecting with the attack of the first one, and this one it just felt so much better. Yeah, it was really good, although I just kept getting lost in it. So that was my only problem with that game. I was just so lost sometimes. I was like, I just didn't know what to do next, and that was my probably only downfall of that game. People put it on like really high regard, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, but it's not my favourite Metroidvania. It's just it is just good intermediate tier for me. So that's all I'm going to say, because I've not got much time left. Not got much time left. So next up we've got Intrepid Dizzy. Now this was, I was like, I've heard a lot of good things about this, and I played it. And the first level I was like, oh god, this is just okay. The graphics are beautiful. It's such a great looking like Dreamcast game. And I was like, this is just a bit boring. And then we got to the next level, and then it just sort of like opened up. Then it was like, so if you ever play this and you play that first level, just kind of like keep going because it does open up. It is really good. It's a really fun sort of like brawling, platforming, almost Metroidvania style because you have to go through like do different bits of stages over and over again. Really cool platformer, really good. Probably a couple of hours and then I beat this. You've got a few extra little bits where you can play arcade machines and just it's more than just a straightforward platformer. It's like sort of got a cool overworld and stuff like that. Really fun. I can't wait to see what stuff that Wave Studio is going to be releasing. Hopefully they're going to start like making more original games, or at least publishing more original games, because a lot of the stuff is like a back catalogue really. Next up, again, coming up to PlayStation month, and I was like, I need to play an Xbox game, so I went on to Xbox Game Pass to see what was leaving soon, and Shadow Warrior 2 was, which is here on the PlayStation. So I really enjoyed the first Shadow Warrior, although I never got to complete it because it got to a stage and it just completely glitched and I couldn't get any further. I'd beat all the enemies and the next door wouldn't open, so I couldn't progress. But I really loved it, so I bought this instantly. It was from, who was this from? This is from Special Reserve Games. So it's a limited release. This is number 632, as you can see there. And this is like getting up to about 200 quid game at the moment. It's about 150 to 180 quid all day long. Soon going to be 200, I think. And because of that, I can't open the seal. So when I saw it in Game Pass and it was leaving, I was like, right, I need to get on there, play it, see what it's like. Is it as good as the first one? And yeah, it really is. This is a fantastic game. I flipping love this game. I was, like I say, just played Halo and I was like, maybe it's just because I'm not really into first person shooters. Maybe that's what it is. It's because I just felt like I was just doing the same action over and over again. This, absolutely not. It was just like a comical. If you like dick jokes, your main character is called Wang, so obviously they use that over the top. But because of it, if they do, it's so cheesy and fantastic. I just love it. Yeah, fantastic game. Love the whole humor. The graphics are nowhere as good as Halo. However, the art styling of everything, how the stages are made up, it just keeps like that mind just like kind of wanting to know what's around the next corner. Just love the whole like package of this game. Just plays great. Great looking stages. Like I say, not as like visually stunning as Halo, because this is about 6 years old now. In fact, Shadow Warriors 3 is coming out soon. I need to get that copy soon. Really recommend this. And I literally beat this about an hour before it was taken off Game Pass, which is a bit of a shame because I felt like I rushed it really, because I wanted to go back and do some of the side missions that I'm kind of like sort of like left behind because I wanted to beat the main game. So yeah, that was a bit of a shame really, but yeah, fantastic game, really recommend it. And also just snuck this in as well. I actually played it about a month ago. It was from watching James at Import Retro Games. He played it as a playthrough on his channel, and I was like, do you know what, I need to play this. And it is the Terminator and the Mega CD. So yeah, I've heard so many good things about this game, and they're all true. This is a fantastic game. I like I say, I tried playing it like about a month ago after he showed it, and I was having a whale of the time. The music of this is fantastic, by Tommy Tallarico. Unfortunately, he kind of sullied his name a little bit, hasn't he, over the last few years? But that doesn't stop him making good music, and this is a prime example of it. The game isn't like really difficult. I was like building up lives like no end. I had about 20 lives by the time I got to the last stage, and that's where it went wrong, because it did the cutscene. It's got cutscenes from the movie in it, and it did the cutscene, and I pressed skip for the cutscene, and it crashed it. Yeah, that was a bit of a shame. So I got to the end and I crashed it. So I had to play it again. Like I say, it was a good game. Like, so it wasn't like the worst thing in the world. It's probably about an hour long, maybe a bit longer, to beat the game. But fucking hell, I got to the last stage and it was absolutely incredibly hard. Like, it was kicking my ass. It was just like, it went from like super easy to incredibly hard, all within like a cutscene. But like, yeah, it, I had to cheat. Unfortunately, I was like, I'm not getting to this point again, and then failing. So I found there was a cheat to like have unlimited lives basically and stuff like that, and I managed to get through it, and it was great. Just the nightclub stage on this, brilliant. I loved it. That nightclub stage was my favourite. The music in there, just how all the level worked. Great game. Really recommend everyone giving this a go if you can. So yeah, that is my 52 game challenge. I've completed a few more games. No, well, not a few more. A couple of more games since then in PlayStation Month. Hopefully going to be completing a few more. And yeah, well, we're going to be doing a PlayStation Month video with a few of us. I'm not too sure where it's going to be, so keep your ears peeled. I'm sure we'll announce it as well. It's either going to be this weekend coming up, not this weekend coming up, the last day of the month, which is the 30th, or possibly the week after. And then I'll probably do another recap like this in 3 months' time. So until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers, bye.